Hello, everyone. Here we are, episode 13, which, if you're a
Wow.
Swiftie, that somehow feels significant.
Has it already been 13 episodes? I'm so proud
hmm
of you for A, keeping track.
Well, I have to when I post
I have to know. It's kind of part of the job.
it.
It's fine. It's fine. You can see that Tori has posted 10 or 11 episodes and I've posted one. So that seems right, like knowledge wise.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Um,
that's fair.
you've done a lot, though. Don't count yourself short. You've done a lot of editing, and
I have mastered the editing finally. I really didn't think I was, I don't know what that was. It was like a kitty paw or something. Like, I've never done that before today. That's a new one. Just trying it out, shopping it. I feel like I'm screaming. I don't know if I actually am.
you're not at all on my
Okay.
end.
I think
Yeah.
it's just because this is like keeping the sound in.
Not only is Amber actually using her mic today, we've upgraded the
I'm
headphones.
not.
So if
I'm not using the mic. I forgot.
So it must be the headphones mic.
I guess.
It's better than the Apple mic or the. Oh, now I can't hear you.
Because I muted myself. No, it's still the MacBook mic.
Now Amber is using her.
I feel like
mic.
I should do some ASMR like really quick. Like I've got this little.
Oh, actually, that's not unpleasant.
It's one of those pop socket. What are they called?
Yeah. Fidget poppers. It sounds
Anyway,
great.
I put it here on my computer just in case I needed to fidget.
So not only is Amber using her new microphone, we've also updated some headphones. So if you guys used to hear there's a tiny little bit of an echo, that should be gone now.
Yes.
If not, as we love to say, let us know.
Yeah. And that was Tori's like top bugaboo. So now we're professional officially.
Bugaboo sounds so adorable.
It's the best. It's you know what it reminds me of? They say it in Step Brothers. He's like one of my top bugaboos. I can't remember what his bugaboos are, but I remember him saying that. And yes, it is adorable. Agreed. We need a list of good words because last week we were talking about cattywampus, and now we just did that one. So that should everything's a list, folks. I don't know. Is that a millennial trait? You think?
Probably like just having to list. I do pros and cons lists. I do for very important things. I'm like Rory Gilmore over here.
Rory Gilmore.
Best words.
We have a list of lists, and that's what you hear Tori talking to herself right now. She is adding that to our list of lists.
Check. So we've added to our updates, or I thought I did. I actually don't see it on here, but I feel like we should start every episode now with talking about the names that we're signed in as.
Yeah, I think that makes sense because we often do, and people have no context. We just start talking about it.
We do, yeah. And then sometimes we don't even mention it. And then I get sad as I'm editing because I'm like, dang, that was a really funny name. And
yeah,
we didn't even mention
Dilapidated Dogma is good. I'm so thankful that you're doing the ABCs for us because it works. It makes it so much easier. So yeah, Tori's username today is Dilapidated Dogma, which we love. Dogma is an excellent fucking movie. One of my favorite movies. If you haven't seen that, definitely recommend it. It's so good. It's really fucked up and weird, but it has Jay and Silent Bob in it, and God is a woman, and it's just crazy. And I watched it for the first time, I think, when I was like 13. It's not for 13-year-olds.
I was going to say, based on like the really fucked up part, I was thinking. So next update, or I guess getting into updates, I don't know where we're at here. This is another late night recording, guys. That's the beauty of getting these episodes out quicker, is we have to record them during the week,
which we can only do in the evenings, and by then we're just a mess. So
yeah, we're not quite responsible for the people we are.
That's a great way to put it.
During this time, yeah. So if there's anything you don't like about the rest of this, just
know we don't take responsibility for that.
It's not really on me, because by the time I actually see that tomorrow, I'll be a different person. So.
Yeah.
But do reach out to us. We're welcoming of that.
Email us. We would love to get another email. I'm starting to wonder if that one was actual spam. Like, if you're the person who emailed us, will you email us again so that we know that you were real? Please.
Shauna was on our podcast a month ago. Who knows at this point?
At some point.
She has since being on our show, and now she has started her own podcast. She did call it out when she was on our podcast, but we will link everything in these show notes again.
Yeah.
Their podcast is called Doubling Down, and I think by the time this comes out, they'll have 2 episodes out. So
That's
go check it out. If you guys want to hear more from Show, go check that out. Back to Swiftie stuff.
Always. All roads lead back to Taylor.
It's like right when I was starting to get my mind out of TTPD, I knew that this was coming.
I feel like she's so strategic, you know? Everything happens she's like, you know, they finally
have settled a little.
Have settled down a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we're not twerking to down bad every second of the day, just like every other second.
Yes, yep. So it's May 9th today that we're recording, and Taylor had the first Paris show, Eras show, and the Tortured Depot.
That's not the first time that's happened. I think, was it you last time or was it me? One of us has said that before. The Tortured Depoets.
It's such a mouthful.
Like, petition to rename it that.
Tortured Depoets.
Yeah, it's got a nice ring to it. Yes.
TTPD, I think that just kind of rolls off the tongue a bit better for me. TTPD was added to the Eras tour.
Oh.
And she literally levitated. Did you see the video?
I did. I watched it right before I hopped on here because I wanted to make sure I saw it. I was in shock that it really looked how I imagined.
It was so good.
She did such a great job. I am still trying to look at all the new outfits because there were so many. Was everything new except for the rep outfit?
So I was working during this, so I had it like playing while I was driving back, and then I had a meeting at the office, so I missed a part of it. And then I played it driving home, but I didn't actually get to see a lot of it. But I did see that the Lover bodysuit was orange. The Karma, or you say orange, I say Karma. I can't help it. The Lover bodysuit was orange. The man sweater, what is
jacket,
that called? Blazer.
The blazer
was also orange. Boots orange.
I died over that color palette because I'm pretty sure there was like a version that looked like that was going around. Do you know the one that was really purple and it had tassels that were kind of hanging down from the sides?
They're like from this tour, an outfit?
Yes. Like one of the Lover bodysuits that she wore on the tour so far. It was like pink and purple and it had like these purple tassels.
That's my favorite one, yeah.
And somebody along the way, I don't know with AI or with Photoshop or what, but somebody along the way like made a version of that where they edited the photo where it looked like what we got today. It was like I had to do a double take of like which one of these is real.
Oh wow.
Versus
that's so cool.
Doctored. And it was like, did we influence that?
I know. And then the infinity symbol too. So I'm sure a lot of the Swift.
That.
Okay, so during it was one of the TTPD songs. She like went on and did this infinity loop like on the levitating thing. So it was probably at the end of Who's Afraid of Little Me. And I just so Nikki King, the girl who like predicted the 112 theory and stuff, she has a theory about like an infinity symbol, and I can't remember the whole theory. I'll try to find the video and put it in the show notes. Okay. But I remember it being really interesting, and as soon as I saw that infinity symbol, I was like,
it made sense.
Is Nikki right again?
That's incredible.
She's been right before.
I'm so glad she did. Who's Afraid of Little Old Me?
And then there was also different things. Again, I didn't get to like super pay attention to all of it. Tomorrow I'm definitely going to. But like Speak Now, I know had a different intro, and there's like this like ballet happening going into it, which was really cool. Yeah.
Can we talk about the disappointment from yesterday a little bit? Because I think that's probably
Let's
worth
talk about
sharing.
it. Let's talk about it.
Okay, so I happened to be a little MIA last night, and our friend messaged us and let us know that someone someone she knew from like high school, I think, was selling tickets to one of Taylor's shows. And Tori hopped into action. She was like, yes. Yes.
I don't know who's going with me, but I will take all four. It was a great price. And she said, and I even asked, you know the girl, right? And she did. It was like a girl she's been friends with for 15 years.
And I will say, our friend who brought this to us, she's not gullible,
right?
So if she comes to you and says, "Hey, this person's selling these tickets," you're like, "Oh yeah, this is 100%. Definitely for real."
Right. And yeah, were the tickets cheap? Yes. But I know when I resell tickets, because I can't make it to a show that I bought tickets to, I always sell them at the price that I paid for them for. And it was around maybe even a little bit more expensive than what people would have paid in the original sale. So I was thinking she's probably just trying to give it to fellow Swifties like I would.
Yeah.
Well, we got to the finish line, not all the way at the finish line. We're about to cross over the finish line, and they did a bit of a red flag from the messenger, and our friend who like got us this connect like picked up on it right away. But we got a bit of a, are you sending it? A bit of a question mark, like just question mark as a single text.
Yeah, a little attitude, if you will.
Of like, the money's not coming quick enough, and our friend went, this doesn't sound like my friend.
Yeah, she really did switch. Like, she realized immediately. It only took that one line, and she was like, "No, this is a scam."
Dang, and I'm so glad she realized.
Yes, can you imagine? Oh my gosh,
I know.
No. So that was really disappointing. And I read all of this. Like, I read part of it last night and I was tired and I went to bed and I was like, cool, Eras Tour tickets, amazing. And then I woke up this morning and read like all of it. And I was like, oh.
It was so heartbreaking.
It was. And you guys were like so sweet at the end, like, okay, well, good night.
And I stayed up too. So I was planning on going to bed the second I put the baby to bed because I had such a long day. That's on our list as well. We'll talk about that. And I just wanted to go to bed, but I was like, oh, I'm not going to sleep if I could get some Eras tickets.
Yeah. I was like, what is Tori even doing awake? She said she was going to bed.
So I stayed up like an hour and a half and
then it didn't pan out.
Ended up being a scam. But I'm so glad that she reached out to us with that opportunity.
Yeah. Well, because if the chance ever arises, we ride at dawn. Like, we're ready to go.
And going with you guys would be so magical too. Like, I
know. There would be so much glitter.
If it's anything like when we went to the movie together.
Oh my God. Do you remember the movie theater people's reaction to us when we walked in?
No.
They were like shocked at how much glitter we had on. They were like, wow, you guys look great. And we were like, we've had 2 mimosas.
Oh, like the people when we first walked into the building.
The theater. Yeah.
Oh, into the theater?
Well, the not the theater, but like
the building.
The building, yes.
Okay.
I call the whole thing a theater, I guess.
That tracks though, kind of.
But it's not correct. There are multiple theaters inside the building.
Yeah, I do remember that now. That night was so much fun. We had my husband like decked out in glitter, and we had like rhinestone fishnet stockings, and we had
rhinestones on our faces. We had glitter. We even dumped glitter in our hair. There was a lot of, I am still cleaning up the glitter.
I still find glitter. I was about to say that.
Yeah.
I find it on my clothes still because we're not in that apartment anymore. in the apartment, it's probably still there.
Oh yeah, the people who live there are like, this is the Eras Tour apartment because
Mm-hmm.
there's glitter embedded in the carpet. I'm
And they're
just
loving it.
waiting to
It's
rewear those
dazzling.
fishnets. They were the most fun.
Same. When we get tickets for Miami.
Please.
um so yeah, just super excited about all the Taylor stuff. I feel like we have to be getting rep and debut this year.
Yeah, I do think
And
so. It seems like she is wrapping things up in a neat little bow. She's moving on with her life.
oh,
Um,
I just remembered what the infinity thing was.
oh, tell me.
So, you know the clock wall from the Man music video where the guy's peeing and there's so the infinity wall, Nikki King believes that it's the order that the albums are getting released in. And
Oh,
then
interesting.
the way she drew the infinity was in the same way that they've been released up until this point. So it
Interesting.
kind of shows that it's Reputation next and then Taylor Swift, if
Wow.
the theory is true.
It has to
So,
be. I feel like it just makes the most sense for her to release her first album because that's her first album, right?
yes, debut, Taylor Swift,
Debut.
yeah.
It makes the most sense for her to release that one last
Mhm. Yep,
because
kind
it
of.
was her first.
I agree with that. Yeah, I don't agree in the sense that like I feel like people are way more hyped over Reputation,
Yeah,
but if she doesn't give us Reputation next, I feel like we might just burn the world down. We don't care about our
absolutely.
reputations anymore.
Yeah. There will be no explanation.
What's going on this week?
Well, I had jury duty today, and I will tell you, I was really anxious about it because I had never been to the courthouse before. So I was like, I'm going to get lost. I'm not going to be able to find where I need to go. Parking is going to be a nightmare. It's going to be horrible. Okay, none of that happened. I mean, the parking was a nightmare, but I figured it out because I'm a fucking grown up. Okay, I figured it out. I parked. Okay, but I had to get up so early this morning because I had to be at the courthouse at 8, and I usually drop my son off at school around 7:30, but drop off starts at 7:15. So I had to be ready to drop him off at 7:15 so that I could go directly to the courthouse. And so it was just like a lot of logistics. I got up super early. I had to wear like nice clothes and not leggings. And I was not in the mood. Okay. But then I get there and I'm like caffeinated and I'm like, this is so cool, actually. What is this going to be like? And I sit in this room for like an hour and then they call my group and I'm like, this is awesome. It's going to be just like TV. And I'm all pumped up. And then they let us know we're dismissed. And I'm like, I'm already here. So I took the
Can't you
day
throw me
off.
on something else?
Can you
Like,
swap me out with somebody else that's already in one? Like, nobody has to know. We'll be quiet. Like, just let me in there. Because now I'm just curious.
right. Like
Everybody, everybody
at
like
least
cheered, and I was like, I was offended.
right. It's like at least let me be a part of like accepting the plea bargain or not. If you're gonna
Yeah,
bring me in,
bring me in.
right?
Give me 5 minutes. Come on. And then I thought it was really funny, but the lady who dismissed us, she was like, yeah, you'll probably be right back here in about a year because that's about how the cycle works. So you probably get another summons in about a year. And I'm like, well, I'm not coming back if y'all are just going to throw me back out in the water. Okay. I made a lot of adjustments to be here.
Right. And
Okay.
also, you've lived there for so many years. How come you haven't been picked in all the other years? If it's
Okay.
every
So I
year.
have had a jury summons before, but in
Uh
those in those I just didn't go. No, I'm just kidding. Um in the times where I did get one, I qualified for one of the exemptions, I think because my husband was still at the fire department and my kids were under a certain age. I
oh.
forget what the threshold
Mm-hmm.
is, but now they're older and they're at school all day. So the people are like, you're doing your fucking jury duty, bitch. Okay. You're coming. But you're not. They're dismiss you.
But don't. Yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
still calm, but you can't do the duty.
Yeah. So I was just like, super curious.
Mhm.
And then they were like, nah, we don't need you. It's
I
fine.
totally feel you because that's exactly what happened my first jury duty as well. I sat in this room. I was there for like 4 hours, I think, and they never said anything to us. They're just like, "Hang out here." I brought my computer. I think I was doing some work, and then they were like, "Oh, everyone can leave. There's been a plea bargain met."
And that is
Peace.
wild to me that you can just sit there. Like, there was a room full of people when we left. And like I said, I only had to wait for like an hour. I hadn't even really started reading my book yet. I read like 2 paragraphs, but what else is going on this week?
Have you heard about the Kendrick Lamar Drake of it all?
Yes.
What have you heard? Because I will say I'm not super versed on this.
Same. I think that we're both probably approaching it in the same way, which is that we have no authority on it, and we probably heard like
Mhm.
one half of a TikTok and think that we know.
I will
That's where we're at.
say I've heard like 3 TikToks and then like
Wow.
one of the songs, but then I realized I listened to not the song that I meant to listen to, but
Which one did
um
you actually listen to?
it was like 6:16. I didn't even realize it wasn't the person I meant to listen to because I
Whose side are you on? Because like that's what I want to know.
Kendrick.
Okay, we can still
Yes.
be friends. I
Yes.
again still only know about 10% of what is happening with this beef.
Same.
Have chosen a side.
Oh, I mean, before I heard any, like, I heard that there was a beef, I chose my side.
Well, I also have to say I have always hated Drake.
He's weird.
I'm
The
just not a fan. I get a bad vibe. I
Millie
think
Bobby Brown stuff, like, mm-mm.
I also just don't think he's that great.
I
And I
wouldn't know.
feel like
I've
a
never
lot of
listened to him
people think that he's
besides
great.
the song I accidentally listened to.
The one I was not meaning to listen to.
And I will say Drake never did Bad Blood. So,
Okay, this is true.
yeah. And
That's the
that
only
I
argument you need.
love that. Yeah, the Kendrick Lamar Bad Blood,
Mhm.
so good.
Yeah.
It gets like a little more petty than Taylor had gotten at the time, and I'm just like, "Oh,
Yes.
you're speaking through Kendrick right now, Tay." I
I
love this.
also I feel like the one piece of the beef that I'm connecting with is the fact that Jack Antonoff produced one of the songs. Or I think the most recent song that Kendrick put out was produced by Jack.
Did he?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, that's the one that I meant to listen to, but I listened to one of the Drake ones
See,
on
I didn't
accident.
listen to any of it. I just
Mhm.
decided whose side I was on. Was like, that's it. I don't.
And so after I listened to the Drake one, thinking I was listening to the Kendrick one, again, I've never really listened to much of their music at all. Not that I don't like either of them. Probably Drake, I'm just not interested in as a person at all.
Mm-mm.
Um, Kendrick Lamar, I think I probably would like his music. It's just there's so much Taylor music that
You don't have time to
it's
get
kind of hard
into
to
anything
branch
else.
out. I just don't have a lot of music time. So I just haven't branched out to that. Yeah, I might one day. Um,
I have a couple songs I'll send you of
oh,
my
I would like
favorites.
that.
Yeah.
I would love that. I
I
I
do
do like
listen to him. Yeah.
nice.
I
Okay.
don't listen to Drake. I think there's like one Drake song that I like, and I don't even know the title of it.
Mm-hmm.
So, do I
Was
really
it
like it?
is it Drake or Kanye who did the Heartless song?
That's Kanye.
Oh,
That's
I
808s and
hate that song.
Heartbreaks. I actually love that album because
Okay. I
it
never
came
liked it.
out when in 2008 when I was a freshman in college. One of my friends from college loved music and was always bumping 808s and Heartbreaks, and it's a good album. It's the only Kanye album I like. But there's a ton of auto-tune. So much
I just
auto-tune.
remember that song was playing everywhere, the Heartless song. I hated it so much.
Yeah. I hate Kanye, but I do like that album.
Okay.
It's
Well,
for sentimental reasons.
we'll move on. We'll move on.
We'll pretend you didn't say that.
Did I write this next one or did you? You had to have.
What in the Hunger Games was the Met Gala? Yes. Okay, first of all, there were several AI images going around. Apparently, okay, I'm still not sure if Katy Perry went to the Met Gala or not because there are several images of her, and I'll send them to you separately so you can look at them. One I know is definitely AI generated because her dress is just insane. Like she looks
Okay.
like an entire garden. Um, but then there's another one going around. I was under the impression was actually her and that she was there. But I don't think she was. So AI
Did you
is
get her
getting
her Instagram?
I didn't. I actually
The first article that came up said, "Don't be fooled by AI. Katy Perry didn't attend the Met."
Yes. So okay, so then neither of but if you just Google Katy Perry 2024 Met, I'm sure the images will come up. They're so cool.
Mhm.
Um but I have always really really liked keeping up with um the Met in previous years. I think it's super interesting. I love seeing um people's take on whatever theme. I just think it's
Mhm.
super fun. But this year it felt it felt a little Hunger Games to me. It felt very like that's the capital. I
Oh
hate
yeah.
them.
Mhm.
There are people dying
Mhm.
out there in the world, and there's literal genocide. And we're just watching Kim Kardashian's waist not
Okay,
exist.
that hurt me to see. Like
I think it's safe to say it definitely hurt her.
how many sorry, I shouldn't laugh at that. How how many hours do you think she could like wear that without dying? You
Well,
know, like I
how
feel
long
like
is the Met Gala? Because she made it through.
let's see.
I haven't seen any articles that said she's deceased.
Right, but I imagine like you can't make it one more minute past however long it is. Like
Yes.
your body is not supposed to do that.
Mm-mm.
It
No, and I also was so confused with the cardigan situation. I think the whole world was. She had like a cardigan over her dress. Um, and a lot of people were speculating whether it was like a
Oh
wardrobe
yeah, it was
malfunction.
so odd. Yeah,
And
I
she just
forgot
kept
about
like
that.
holding it kind of weird. Honestly, it looked like she was going to pass out at any second. I was concerned. Um, Lana, on the other hand, slayed the theme.
You thought?
I think she killed it.
Well, she
Yeah.
slayed the theme. Yeah. I did my first wetland work this week.
I just have to let you know that when you posted that Instagram story walking through the wetland, Birdie was really distressed. She called me and she was like, "You need to tell Tori that is my literal worst nightmare. Like, what in the fresh hell is she doing?" She was so upset.
Did she really say fresh hell?
Yes.
No, that's what it felt like though. Um,
It looked like it.
it looked as
It's like so hot this
hellish.
week. We're just trucking through the wetlands.
Yes, yeah. So I usually do my work like so I guess I don't know if I've talked about my work much at
You
all.
have, but I don't think you've given any like background, any context. So I think people probably don't know what you do if they don't know you.
So I work in conservation. I do a lot of like monitoring mostly uplands. So I and land management of uplands. Uplands are the dry bits. Now it gets very hot in the uplands. The uplands definitely have their downsides. But
Florida.
yes, right. But in the uplands it's dry. And I do kind of like that predict I can for the most part I can usually see where my foot is landing.
Right. If you're gonna step on a snake, you saw it first, at least. Probably.
There's a higher chance of me seeing it first. Yeah. Um in the water now, you can't so I don't know how many people are familiar with what a Florida wetland looks like, but marsh and swamp, those are pretty
It's a
much the
swamp.
only words that there's lakes, marshes, swamps. That's about it. Ocean. Um
That was not an ocean.
and you cannot see through any of this water. Let me specify, especially the freshwater systems, unless it's like the springs. You can't see through it. It's very tannic. It's a brown, mucky, muddy, stinky, anaerobic environment. It stinks. It's mucky. I don't know how much I can stress this.
The
The
water.
water, it's weird. Like you go through these patches and like some feel some it's like you step and then all of a sudden you're in a cold patch and then you take another step and it's like a warm patch. It's very
I don't
off
like
and
that.
on. It's
Yeah,
very off and on, but it definitely keeps you cooler than when you're like in the uplands.
sure.
So we had about 500 meters to walk through this wetland. And it's a slow walk because you're stopping and surveying every 5 meters or so. And um, there was at one point before we even get into the wetland, so you start on the upland, go to the middle of the wetland, and then back up to the other side of the shore, so the other upland. So before we even get into the water, we're like surveying on the edge of it, and I had a hat on, like a baseball hat, and the brim, the downside to the hat, like they protect you from the sun, but you can't see anything over that's right over your head. So I was facing one way and I turned around real quick because I was supposed to do something else. And there was like a broken branch that I just like turned my head into. And I've got like a little hunk out of my nose from that. So that's fun. Just face planted. It's right in front of the guy who I'd met that day who I was working
That's
with too.
great.
So
That's awesome.
that's always lovely. But he did fall into a hole soon after this. So we both had some moments. At one point, there was like, so you're constantly walking on lilies,
Mhm.
and the stems to the lilies can get kind of thick. And at one point, I see my boss, he just kind of floats ahead of me like 10 feet. And I'm like, okay, I'll go where he went. That makes sense, right? So I take a few steps, I'm out there, and all of a sudden, as I'm taking these steps, I'm noticing all the lilies at 5 feet, like around me in every direction, are just kind of bouncing with every step of mine. So I'm like, I kind of feel like I'm not really on solid ground anymore. I feel like I'm just kind of bouncing around from lily stem to lily stem. So I kind of feel with my pole, because right a few steps before my pole was only going like a foot into the water. I'm feeling
Yeah.
with my pole, it the whole I've fallen as I lean into it. The whole thing just goes in, but I didn't fall like under my, at least my face stayed out of the water, but I was pretty much like
Neck deep.
falling to my chest.
Oh
Yeah.
my god.
It
It sounds like a video game.
happened
It's like
multiple
Frogger
times.
mixed with Mario, mixed with I don't even know what.
It happened multiple times. Yeah. And there's one point too where like so I was working with my boss and this guy that we work with. They're both super experienced, super great people, really good at what they do. But the guy who we were working with, my boss is like going into this open water area where like gators are more likely to be. The guy we're working with is like, look, do you guys see that? Looks like something's moving over there. And like I was trying to ignore him because in my mind I'm freaking out.
Yeah.
Like I don't want to think about like gators under me and stuff. And it was funny because my boss actually brought it up to me when I saw him today. He was like, I couldn't believe he kept saying,
Look at that.
"Look
Isn't
at
that
that thing
scary?
over there." Oh my
That's
gosh. And
incredible.
then the last thing I have from this little adventure was we went to eat lunch. So we had gotten halfway through our 500 meters. We have these poles that we're using, and I chucked the pole to the guy that we're working with. We'll call him, I got to think of a new Tom. We'll
Jiminy.
call him Jiminy.
I like Jiminy.
So I throw the pole to Jiminy. And I'm so bad at throwing the poles to the right spot, right? So it was a little bit behind where he was actually standing because I'm afraid I'm going to hit them with it.
Yeah, you don't
If
want to
I
smack him in the face with it.
Right. So I threw it a little bit in front of him. So he's standing in about a foot and a half deep water, right? He takes one step to get to get to the pole. And by the way, I this guy's probably like 68 years old or so, okay? So he takes one step and he's 6 feet deep. Like he was gone. I was like behind this clump of vegetation, so to me he was gone. I could not see him anymore.
That's
And
it. Jiminy is out. We gotta
my-
go.
my boss went around to pick him up. So we finally, he was getting out himself too, but I think my boss was just like assisting him. But the data sheets got all wet. So we had to, in the middle of this, we only had a half of a way to go. You know, we're already halfway out. The truck is more than halfway away from us. So in another direction. So we had to go all the way to the truck. It was kind of good because we got to relax and eat lunch and stuff. My
Yeah.
boss, we're about to head back out, which sucks because you've already left. Now
You're like, now I got to trek back in
you're
there.
kind of dry at this point. You've been out of it for an hour, and it's like you got to get back. And it was deep where you were at. So, anyways, we're about to head back out, and my boss is like, I'm just gonna like adjust my sock real quick before we go. Takes his shoe off. He pulled a fish out. He pulled a he pulled a fish
Did you
out of
take
his
it home
boot.
and eat it?
No, it was like the size of my pinky. It was
Oh,
a
okay.
little guy, and it was really funny. He said something like, "I think this little guy was just trying to hang on until we got back out there, but then he had to get himself right under my heel."
Oh
And
no,
the
he didn't make it.
Oh no, he didn't. Yeah,
Oh no.
he
No,
was a
no, no.
little
Little dead.
crunched up.
Yeah. Well,
So
that
that's been my
happens.
week.
I love that. I mean,
Good. I'm glad someone does. No, honestly, it was a cool experience, but it was freaky too.
I think you're so brave because there is no way in hell I would trek through Florida swamp
I don't blame you.
up to anything.
You know, it's kind of funny because I was sitting there thinking, I'm like, we're not made for this. Like, there's no human that like doesn't have to go out into the swamp for work that is
Yeah.
standing on the edge of it thinking, let me just walk out there. Like,
Yeah.
it is not in our nature. Like, we're not made for that.
Mm-mm. Mm-mm.
Anyways.
No.
So Vanderpump, is it the
Well,
end?
I think it is. I think it's time. Okay.
I agree. Like, I'm a little sad, but
Yeah.
I think it's time as well.
It was so wild seeing those flashbacks of the cast because, you just kind of get used to how someone looks in the present and you forget
I
what they looked
know.
like 10 years ago. And it really threw me for a loop a little bit, the ending,
I
seeing
know.
all their fresh little faces.
And it almost seemed like they were ending on like, somewhere where they could pick it back up. And then they like added that little thing in at the end of all their like little baby faces and Lala saying like we've been doing this for 12 years and
Yeah,
it was emotional.
it was. Yeah, it
Hmm.
was really emotional.
I was just like weirded out by whatever journey Lala was on during this episode. Like, m- what are we doing? Why is she's being kind of annoying. And
Hmm.
I love Lala.
I
That's
do
like
too.
not normal for me to think that, but she was like writing Dan, which I kind of get what she's saying about like bringing someone into the friend group or whatever, but that's a bit much
It was
still.
a
Like
little
it
aggressive. And
and it wasn't Ariana who fucked up. It was Tom. And this is another instance of Ariana getting punished because what she chose the wrong guy. No, that guy was a dick.
yeah, I agree.
Like, don't punish the new guy because of that. And then it makes things awkward for her too. Like, what are we doing? It seems like Sheena thinks that they're again, it's one or zero with her. She's very binary. Like, it's either Tom hates her and is scamming her because Ariana is saying he doesn't actually like her, or she loves him and misses him. And literally from one moment to the next, it's like I'm
It's a
getting
little weird
whiplash,
how
girl.
intense her feelings are about it. It almost felt like a romantic relationship to me. And some of the things that were said in this episode, like when she's talking to Lisa and Lisa's like, well, how long have you loved him, or
I
something
know,
like that.
yeah. Do you still love him? She said.
It was just a little weird. Like, if I was
Yeah.
Brock, I think I would feel some type of way.
Interesting. I hadn't thought about that, but I could see that. Yeah.
Just, I don't know, it's just so intense. I think I don't know. I don't get the intensity of it personally.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and like, well, we'll get to that at the end, but yeah, it's just weird how she's like so back and
Mhm.
forth with it. Like, in one moment, she's like, "Oh, Tom and I had this great conversation." She reports it to Ariana, which like, stop doing that.
Yes. How many times do we have to watch you do that and see Ariana's face
Right.
clearly not enjoying it?
Like, freaking stop it.
Yeah.
And then Ariana's like, "No, he never liked you." And then he'll come up and say something. She's like, "Fuck you, Tom." Like, girl, Get into make a choice. God, that's always it with her. She can't make a choice.
She can't stay in one lane. She wants everyone to like her, and it's
She's
like that. I don't think
swerving.
that's the reality of this group, babe.
No,
Not after
yeah.
all this.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I was glad that Sheena acknowledged how good of a friend Ariana's been. Like Brock was kind of saying that she hasn't been, and it was good to hear Sheena correct him
Yeah.
on that.
Mhm. I do agree. First impressions of Dan, I think he seems really great. And I like the pace at which it seems like they're going. It seems like
Mhm.
a normal relationship. I think a lot of times we like jump into these things and then it's just like full throttle. But I really like that they seem to be taking their time really getting to know each other. And he seems very genuine and like he really cares about Ariana. So that's great. Really happy for her.
Yeah. Yeah. I like him a lot. That little
Hmm.
story about like how they both like fell for each other was super
That
cute.
was really cute. Yeah.
Good on Allie for like interrupting Lala's interrogation with like a decent question.
I love Allie. I think I would love to see more of Allie if they continue the show or if they do a spin-off or something. I think Allie is amazing. I love listening to her.
Mhm. Finally, Katie, and I'm sure Katie's been thinking this the whole time, but I'm so glad she finally said it on camera. For selfish reasons, I've just been saying it all season, but she said, when he fucks over your friend, fuck him. Like, it's literally, it's as simple as that.
Yeah. And I am so baffled that Sheena couldn't figure that out. Sheena and Lala couldn't figure that out this
It's
whole
so strange.
season. Like for how when everything went down and they like turned the cameras back on and they filmed the end of the last season, everyone was so there for Ariana, and then it was like they all just changed their minds and were like, no. For
Right.
what?
And can you imagine? So, like, I know we've talked about like Lala's reaction to Randall a little bit and like other people not being friends with him. And I feel like her hard line with that was like when they were going through the custody battle.
Hmm.
But like, still, hard line or not, like, if Katie or Ariana was still trying to be friends with Randall on a regular basis, like maybe Tom Schwartz could be and she wouldn't care. But like, Katie and Ariana, she would be fuming.
Yeah.
That would not be okay with her
No, not at
because
all.
he's an asshole.
It's honestly wild.
It's
And part of me is like, no, this is all fake. Like they're all just playing
it
along,
might be.
but it's
Yeah.
I don't know. Um
Mhm.
I don't remember the exact context. I know she's talking about Tom, but Sheena says, "But that's just me making it about me." And she says it in a sarcastic tone. And it's like,
Right.
"No, but babe, that's what you're
N-
doing."
no,
Like
but you are.
that's you did it like 17 times in this episode. Oh my god, I saw such real emotion out of him and he was really thinking about what he did to you. Uh,
Dude, I
Sir,
swear I'd punch Sheena if she came to me about the stuff my ex was saying to her so often.
I know. One time I could be like, "All right,
I wouldn't punch her, actually. I'm very not violent. I should probably put that out there since
I would punch her."
a lot of our listeners don't know me. When I say a lot, all three of our listeners. Um,
um but yeah, I do also think as much as um I think her reasons are selfish, I do think I agree with Sheena saying like that she just wants to let this go.
mhm.
Um that I can understand absolutely, but that's not what she's pitching to Ariana. It's not, "Hey, I have all this anger in me about something that happened to you and I don't know how to deal with it and I'm
Right.
just trying to let it go." It's like, "No, you're just trying to have a relationship with this person who this other person in your life told you that's not acceptable."
And at the least, like, free her from it. Like, I know there's a certain line of like not wanting to go behind her back,
Mhm.
but like, I feel like you could say it one freaking time. Just say, hey, I know you don't like this. To me, I feel like this is a journey I have to take.
Yeah.
That's it. be done. Like, never ever come to her about him again. That's it.
Yeah, just stop trying to, like it's like
Like, get her approval.
yeah.
Stop.
I think she was just so focused on not losing Ariana that she thought if she could get her permission or she could get her to understand that it would
Mhm.
soften the blow, when in reality all it did was push them further apart.
And all Ariana needed was time, too.
Yes.
Like, so at the
Yes.
end of the episode, she did come to that before freaking Tom came in and ruined it. But she did say that. She was like, it's okay. I can't lose you as a friend either. And they had this really sweet, cute moment. And then Tom comes in.
And just any step forward they took,
It
it's
was
just
such bad timing.
immediately
But then it was
over.
so weird how Sheena, like, got mad at Tom instantly. Like, I can understand her being like, Tom, we were having a moment. Like, go away. But she's like, don't make me look like an idiot, Tom. Like,
Yeah,
what?
this is the moments where I'm talking about it kind of feels relationshipy, because it was like so over the top.
Yeah.
It's not believable to me.
Interesting.
I know that there's nothing going on between them, obviously.
I don't know. I'm getting convinced now.
We have a new storyline for you folks.
Uh-oh.
Um,
James and Allie conversation was super cute.
I was really
Like,
happy for James in that moment, because I think he really needed to have that moment with Allie.
yeah. Also, like, I love James's character development. Like, he's really, like, he's been not a dick for this whole season.
Yeah, I'm really, and it's because of Allie. It's 100% because of Allie.
I think he needed to get older too, like, get more
Yes,
experience under his belt and grow
and he's
up a bit.
sober. I think that's really done wonders for him with this
He
group.
needs to be.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
You have to be. I don't know how anyone could drink around these people.
True.
It's just not safe. I died dead when Sheena started performing apples and Tom was like
Oh, I did.
really getting it and dancing to it. And I'm like, this is about you and Raquel being idiots. You look like an asshole. You look like such an ass. And he's like, me and Shayna are such best friends. I'm just like here dancing to her song. And it's like, this is about you.
Yeah. And, like, she is still profiting off of his, like, distress, which is so, again, if you're friends with someone, you don't do that. I
You
don't care
don't
how
do that.
traumatic it was to you. Like, if you're still friends with them and still working on it, like, you don't just get to jab at them.
Yeah,
that whole thing is
it's
so weird to me.
super weird. About as weird as the Katie and Joe conversation. That was uncomfortable to sit through.
They're
It
both
sucked.
wrong.
They're both,
Yeah.
yeah. Joe, you are wrong. Okay. You sent Katie, I sent you this nice text. Meanwhile, you're in love with Schwartz. Okay.
Right. And you can't
Everyone
say
knows
you
that.
weren't at that. It's Katie sensed it before. The things had played out. Everything added up. Like, we all know. You can say it at this point. Just kind of own up to it
Yeah.
and move on. Like, we know.
Yeah. But also, Katie was so hateful. It was
The
harsh.
weird comment was too much.
Yes.
And Lala,
Yes.
like, corrected her for that.
She was
But
like, nope.
yeah. She was like, that's so weird. You're weird. And it's like, no, that's too much. That's too much.
It's a lot. It was a really, and they were just like so close on that tiny little couch. I was just like,
yeah.
can we separate them? Can we get further apart?
Speaking of separating, I feel like we can't go through this without mentioning the weird fight with the random dude.
I feel like that somebody from production paid that guy and was like, hey, you're just going to get shit faced and be an idiot at this
It's
event.
the finale. Like,
We've got to have some crazy drama that has nothing to do with anybody on the cast. But Tom Sandoval's got to come in and look like the hero because we're trying to give him a redemption arc.
He is on a big hero complex at the
yeah,
moment.
It didn't work.
Mm-mm.
It did not work.
I
but
wouldn't say
good
he's
try.
like ruined forever. Like, I do think that people can like come back, but also like maybe this is a little parasocial of me, but like I feel like I'm more Ariana's friend than Tom. So like I don't even know the girl and I'm like, fuck him.
Yeah.
because of it.
Yeah.
So again, just weird that those close to her don't do that.
I just thought it was funny when he tried to interrupt Sheena and Ariana's conversation, and Ariana was just like, nope, skirt.
Yeah.
And he said, I just wanted to say I'm sorry. And it's like, no, you didn't. If you wanted to say I'm sorry, Ariana's totally right. You would do that off camera. You would talk to her
Yeah.
at a different time, not while you're filming and you're at this big event. You know, this is the finale. Like,
Mhm.
no.
Yeah, Shoshana said that too, and I totally agree. Like, if you wanted to, you still would after that happened too.
Yeah. Yeah. So I
So,
definitely think it's the end. I think there's a strong
mhm,
possibility it won't come back.
I think so too. Yeah. Any like takeaways? Like, who's your favorite character development? I
I
guess
love
at the
that
end there.
question. I do agree with James.
Okay.
I also think Lala has grown a lot. I don't
Hmm.
always agree with everything
But
that she
she's
says, but I do think she has grown so much since the beginning.
and her
Um,
confidence is like it's something to look up to for sure. Or
yeah,
she
I would
appears
say
very
James
confident.
and Lala probably
And
over
Katie.
Katie. Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm happy that Katie is doing what's best for her. It's
Things that didn't phase us as kids, but now they do. Now, I have to claim this one because I think you said you did not agree. But
I want to clarify. I 1000% disagree. And I don't think there is a single person out there that will agree with you, but I would like you to share with the group.
okay, so hear me out. Mufasa's fall. Okay. And also anything sad ever in any movie. Like I was a little monster as a kid. Like these things did not
So the
phase
fox
me.
and the hound, like,
Bambi. I was dead. I was deadpan. I know. And now I watch them now and I'm a sobbing mess. It's like I didn't feel for the first half of my life, so now I feel double. I
I don't
think
think I know
for the
you
rest of
as a
it.
person anymore.
It
I
was like
just,
I think I was around the age like 14 and like I was watching a movie. I can't remember what it was, but like some tears started shedding and
yes.
I was like what is happening? Like it wasn't even what is that? Am I sweating? I'm inside. I don't think the AC's broken. Like I don't know.
No, The
Maybe I
Lion
was
King messed me up as a child.
as a child.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. I felt things.
Guess it's just
Actually,
me. Let us know.
I was a very emotional child. My third and fourth grade teacher, I had the same teacher both years, which was awful. She was the worst.
Oh
And
no.
my mom worked for her. So my mom owned a cleaning company. So she was one of my mom's clients. And she called me a crybaby once. I don't remember what I was crying about, but she called me a crybaby in school. She never called me a crybaby again. My mom yelled at her. She was like,
Of
"You will
course.
not speak to my princess that way.
That's right.
No, thank you." Yeah, she was the worst. She was so mean.
Yeah,
I was a
she sounds
crybaby.
terrible.
Suck it.
Yeah, I did cry at things, but it was usually for like selfish reasons. Like there were tomatoes in my spaghetti
She
sauce or
still cries
something.
over that
Not with tears, but
on the inside.
I do vocally whine about it.
Yeah, yeah. No tomatoes when Tori's over.
Yeah.
It's fine.
I
The
grew
cold. Oh,
I
uh, timing is hard sometimes.
I was just going to say I grew empathy when I was like 14, but go the cold, it sucks.
It does suck. And I grew up in Virginia and I loved a snow day and I would spend the whole day out in the snow and I didn't feel a damn thing. And now I live in Florida and it dips below 70 degrees and I'm like, what is this Arctic tundra that we're living in? I can't. I can't.
I will say East Coast cold is brutal. West Coast cold, I was in Washington State, Oregon for years. I could go outside in my underwear for like at least 15 minutes in like 35-degree weather.
At least
It
15
wasn't that
minutes.
bad. Yeah, I'm
That's so
out there
specific.
gathering wood and stuff. It was I would remember because I'd go to grab wood. I'm like, all right, it takes like 15 minutes. I gotta like chop up a couple bits,
And do
bring
the
them
damn
in.
thing.
Mm-hmm.
No. Yeah. Also the heat. The heat didn't really bother me as a kid either, and now I'm just like,
Yeah, I was unfazed as a child, just running around all day long like it
yeah, I
wasn't.
actually didn't care about the weather, I guess. Yeah.
This may be like a climate change thing though, because
That's
it is
fair.
literally hotter than it was when we were
That
children.
is fair. That's a
Um,
good point.
the ocean here last year got to like 96 degrees, I think, in this heat of the summer. Like, turn it off. Someone
Like we're
put some cold
literally
water in
just
there.
yeah, we're just boiling ourselves at the beach. And that is why in the summer I'm like, we do not go to the beach unless it's for the sunrise because
Yeah,
it's too hot the rest of the day.
it's
And the
disgusting.
water, yeah, it's not refreshing.
It feels like urine. Like,
Mhm.
let's just all hang out in urine. And there probably is a lot of urine in there too. Who knows how many creatures urine is just, you know what? The beach in general.
Mm.
Oh, actually, I think that's on my list, isn't it? The
The
ocean.
ocean.
I have the ocean on here. Yeah, when I
Yeah.
was a kid, I would run around in the ocean all the time. Now, no, no. I like to gaze at it. I like to
Yeah.
maybe dip a little piggy toe in. That's about it.
That's
Like,
about it.
there are things floating out there that you cannot see. They live under the sand. They will attack you from all directions.
Mhm.
Coming from the girl who crawled through a wetland
Yeah, I
yesterday,
know.
but no, I was feeling this in the wetland as well.
Yes. Loud noises.
Mhm.
I I didn't give a care when I
Mm-mm.
was a kid. Now, you better turn that volume down, okay?
Mhm.
Stop shouting at me. I cannot
Ah,
handle it.
100% agree. The older I get, the more like overstimulated I am by audio.
Yes, yes.
The conflicting audios, like if you can hear the TV in the living room while your TV in the bedroom is playing, burn
That
the
is
house down.
yeah, we gotta start over. I there's a joke in my house that we have this fancy surround sound that we got put in when we built our house. It has never been used because I can't handle it. It's too loud. It sounds too good, quote
It's too
unquote. It's not
much.
good. It's way too
Yeah.
much.
No. We don't need to live in the movie.
The last three I feel like kind of go together. They make sense.
No, but they all do have separate nuances. But yeah,
Yes. They kind of okay. Um airplanes, heights, and bridges. I added bridges. I
which is
don't
perfect.
fuck with a bridge.
No.
I
I
don't
saw
like
what
it.
happened in Baltimore.
I know.
Literally
It
my
just
worst
crumpled.
nightmare.
It just crumpled.
Yes.
I get so nervous anytime we're driving over a bridge. I hate it. I do not enjoy driving to the beach because you have to go over a bridge
Mhm.
to get there.
Mhm. We should probably specify we live in an area where there are 3 bridges that take about 20 minutes each to cross,
Mhm.
and if you wanna go to the other side, you're crossing one of them.
I hate it. I
I
hate
hate
it.
it. I hate it.
Oh,
Yeah,
it's
I
gonna be a
have
no for me, dog.
a newfound fear of airplanes. Yeah, and when I was a kid, again, I only went on one airplane as a kid, not even phased. I was with all my friends. I'm like, "Let's go. I'm so excited. We're about to be in the air." Mm-mm. Every time I used to have to take a Xanax every time I'd get on a plane. Now I can do it with just
Yeah.
like 2 or 3 glasses of wine. Um, I'm kidding. Actually, I can do it with no wine now. I'm very proud of myself because it was a Xanax and then it was 2 or 3. Now I can do it sober now. So I'm
I
really.
my very first flight ever was to France.
Oh, oh yeah, that
So
we should
my
write
mom
that down
did
as
give
a
me
story.
my mom definitely gave me a Xanax for that. Yeah, that can be a story for sure.
Um, I want to pop back to bridges for a second. We do have a bridge here that's like it's like the size of a goddamn roller coaster. It's like you're going
Yeah.
up the roller coaster, and I swear every time I get to the top of it, and it's not often because trust me, I avoid this bridge like the plague. They literally close it down on windy days because you're too high up and the thing is swaying.
It's if you have to close it for windy conditions, we should
No.
not be driving on it.
Right. So every time I get to the peak of it, I am absolutely sure that it's just gonna
Drop
some
off.
like there's no way that I'm not like zooming down. Like I'm so sure that I'm
I'm
gonna
going
have
to
to be
drive
like
into the water.
I've never heights in general. So as a kid, I was like I would go to the mountains with my parents and just kind of like walk to the edge of cliffs and stuff. Not anymore. I am crawling there on all fours and I'm staying 6 feet back. Who knows if someone else around me accidentally nudges into me? Next thing I know, I'm rolling down the mountain. Like,
Yes. Yes.
absolutely none of that. Grandfather Mountain, no. The Mile High Bridge, uh-uh.
Nope.
Are you
Not
serious?
for me.
Mm-mm.
Mm-mm.
I'll stay in the lowlands. Actually, I do love the mountains, but I like to be on like not the edge.
Right. That's fair. That's fair. I want to see the view, but I don't want to fear for my life.
True.
Yeah.
Accurate. Story time. We both have a couple Sillycybin stories. That was good. Right off the cuff.
I was not expecting that. I was going to say we had some fungal experiences that we were going to tell
Dang.
you about.
We both got some fun guys.
Ah,
No, I'm proud of the Sillycybin one. I haven't heard of that.
that was good. Yeah.
Yes. It just
You
kind of
did.
rolled off the tongue.
It did. I'm impressed. I'm impressed. Well, mine is silly. It's another one from college. So, fresh little 18-year-old baby. And my roommates and I had some mushrooms and we decided we were gonna take them. But my favorite part of this story is that we were so responsible about it. Like we made sure that we had people around us that were sober. So it was me and Birdie and our other roommate, who I will call Henrietta. So Birdie and Henrietta and I were like, we're going to eat the mushrooms. And Birdie's boyfriend, who's now her husband, was like, okay, well, I'll babysit you guys. And then one of
Perfect.
our other friends came, and they were like, well, I'll also babysit with you.
Oh, how nice.
Yes. So 3 of us were going to have this experience and 2 of us weren't. So we're like, that's good odds. All of the rest of our
Good
roommates,
odds.
all the rest of our roommates had gone home for the weekend. So we kind of had our suite to ourselves. So we had like one of those situations where we shared a living room and then there were 4 bedrooms and Bertie and
Mm-hmm.
I shared one. And then Henrietta shared the bathroom with us. So her room was connected to mine and Bertie's. So we decided that we're going to have this experience. We have our babysitters. And we even like Henrietta was having kind of a bad week. And she was like, I don't know. I'm afraid I'll have like a bad experience because I've had just like a bad week. And we like even called friends and we were consulting them, like, is this the right time for her to do this? Like, we were very careful. I'll never forget knowing when it kicked in because we had these giant posters of we had one of James Dean and one of Marilyn Monroe, and I just remember like giggling at the posters and being like, they are laughing and flirting with me. And I was like, oh my god, this is totally happening. um and so we decided that we would put on Across the Universe because that was like
Good
had
choice.
newly come out and we're like, this is going to be the perfect movie for this experience.
Mm-hmm.
And it was. And while we watched that, we also had this giant like drop cloth that you put down so when you're painting so you don't make a mess. But we actually just turned it into a giant canvas and painted all over it.
Oh my
Um,
gosh, that sounds awesome.
yeah. This experience is also what made me afraid of time, because I could not wrap my mind around the concept of time because I kept trying to tell myself, I kept trying to like talk myself down, like, okay, in a couple of hours, this is going to be over. Like, this is temporary. You're not going to feel this weird forever. And it
Mm-hmm.
became harder and harder for me to understand the concept of time the longer that this experience went on.
Classic first mushroom trip.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. And so we had a great time. Like our babysitters were so much fun. They played into it just enough for it to be a fun experience for
Yeah.
us, but also safe. But towards the end, we were starting to, come down, and I was having a really hard time with that because I had never felt that type of thing before. Um,
It's
and so
weird.
everyone was really patient with me and like really sweet, but our second babysitter who had come to hang out with us was like, hey, I've got to go home. It's getting really late. And I had signed him into our dorm and I had to sign him out. Okay. But by this time, like we were just walking around in like giant t-shirts. Like, I don't like we were not
And like
ready to go in front of security guards
one
and go ahead.
one of the hardest things too when you're tripping is having to get dressed.
Oh my God.
There's so many
It took
parts
me
to
like
it.
45 minutes to find a pair of pants. I was like, I don't think I can wear those pants. And these pants seem like just not the right move. Like it was
Are
so
they
hard for me.
laughing at me? These ones
Yeah.
feel weird.
These are not it, you know. So it took me so long to get dressed because I was like stressing about the fact that I had to say I'm signing him out. My room number is 15 blah 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 blah.
You're like
You
practicing.
have to sign your name on this paper and then they give you your ID back and give them their ID and then they can go. And so like he's doing as much as he possibly can, but really I have to be the one that communicates because it's my building. Um, I'm
I can
covered
see you
in paint.
just like
That's the other thing that even though I have pants on now, I am covered. My hands are covered in paint. Like, and I put on like my North Face and I'm like, this is now we went to art school, so it wasn't that like crazy of a thing that, you know, you'd be covered in paint on a Friday night. But it definitely worked against me in this moment of trying to act normal. So we finally get him signed out, get him um, you know, out of the building. And Henrietta had come down with me because she was like, I'm not going to make you do this experience by yourself. Somebody has to go with you. So Henrietta had come with me.
and
Birdie and her
Henrietta
boyfriend.
was partaking or was not?
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
So
But
me, Birdie, and
she's
Henrietta.
coming down.
Yes.
Everyone's
And
coming down.
she was, I think, handling it a lot better than I was.
Okay.
And so while I was signing our friend out, there was this room that had just like vending machines in it. And she had gone to get us snacks. And she was like,
Oh
after you sign him
no.
out, just come back to the room and pick out
She
snacks with
left
me.
you?
It was
Oh,
like,
that
it's
room.
like right across from the
Okay.
where I'm signing him out. Like I can still see her.
Mhm.
But she was like, I'm not talking to them. You're going to talk to them
Right. She's like, I'll come with you for most of it.
for a good bit. um, and so we get him signed out. I'm like, okay, nobody has said anything weird to me yet. I'm going to just like scan my ID and go find her and go back upstairs. And it was really late at night by then. It was probably like 2 o'clock in the morning. And there was like nobody downstairs in the lobby because it was 2 in the morning. But there was this one group of boys and I had to walk through them because they were like standing on either side of the hallway. They were just having a conversation. And I still to this day don't know if this is correct or not, but they were all wearing very like dark clothing and talking really loud. And
Nope.
I was like, oh my God, I have to walk between all that nonsense. How am I going to do this? I've already experienced this traumatic signing out my friend, paint all over my hands.
And I thought that was going to be the adventure. And here
Yeah.
we are, faced with another.
And so, you know, I had to walk through this group to get to the room where Henrietta's at. And I was so freaked out. I like power walked through them and then I went straight to the elevator and like started pressing the button. And she sees me like walk by because the room that she's in has like windows instead of a wall. She's like, all I could see was your bandana and your hair like flapping and you were going fast. She's like, I didn't get us any snacks. And I'm like, no, we have to go. Do you see this group of people in dark clothing? Like, this is bad news. We gotta go. And so then we made it back upstairs. We're like, you know, I'm still freaking out. I was like really concerned about the fire alarms. Like the shape of the fire alarms. It was nuts.
Was
it was
it an
so bad.
aggressive shape? What?
It just, yeah, I was just like, it's breathing at me. Like, it just seems like it's breathing at me. I don't even know what that means. But
Yeah, no, that sounds like so much fun. That sounds like honestly exactly what you want your first and
yeah,
hopefully only mushroom experience to be. I mean, you
yeah.
got all of
I
it. You got
only
a
needed one. Yeah. The only
yeah.
thing I wish is that I could have been outside, but that wouldn't
Mm,
have been good for any of us in that
right, yeah.
experience. It just wouldn't have been safe.
You got a little bit of like excitement, a lot of like arts and crafts. Like that's perfect.
It was very
So I have two Sillycybin stories to share. I feel like Sillycybin has to be part of the episode title
yeah,
now, right?
yeah,
Okay.
absolutely.
Um, the first one is probably the funnier one. But so when Shoshana was on our podcast, we were talking about when we went to the rainbow gathering together. I believe the story that Shoshana shared was from my second rainbow gathering. So the year before that was my first one.
I
Now that I'm thinking of it, we thought it was LSD, but I think it ended up being something else because it lasted for like 24 hours.
oh, got it. Oh my god, no.
It was a bit longer than anticipated. So when it was starting, this was February in Florida in the National Forest. So it was getting down to like 35, 32 every night. Um, and we took these. We're having a blast, right? All of a sudden, this crazy storm is like about to roll in, but we're like, coming up is the term. I forget even. I'm so out of
I
touch.
know. I know. Like, what do they call it now?
Coming up is the term. So we were coming up, and our friend decided to take us for like a little loop around walk before the storm rolled in. So like we're walking around, and I can just see. To me, it looks like the clouds are just like like James and the Giant Peach, like the fucking rhino coming in, you
Yes.
know.
Incredible.
Um, and I started getting cold. The wind is like starting to blow through the trees and stuff like it does right before it rains, you know.
Spooky.
And I'm like getting really chilly. My friend had on a leather jacket, and my hair at the time was like down to like the back of my, like down to my butt pretty much.
Mhm.
And he goes to put his jacket on me, and I'm like trying to zip it up, and I cannot figure out how to zip it up because I'm a little goofy at this point. So he comes over, and he is so nice, and he helps me zip it up. And I'm looking down, and as he's helping me zip it up, and my hair got caught in the zipper, and then
Oh,
I
oof.
saw it get caught in the zipper. It like replayed in my mind like 10 times. So I see him pulling the zipper down, pulling it back over my hair, and just like back and forth doing that 10 times. And finally I go, "Stop." The poor guy is just helping me. And he's like, "What? Sorry, I'm just trying to help you." And then like that kind of put me in check, and I'm like, "Okay, I don't think he
Whoops.
actually did that. My bad, dude." And I had to figure out the rest of the zipper on my
Like,
own.
I think it'd probably be better if I do this.
Yeah. And then he walked us back to our tent. We sat in our tent for I couldn't tell you how many hours, but it was blowing sideways on us. I remember that, like
It's terrifying.
totally flat, like touching our heads. And it was like it was me, another friend who you're friends with, and someone else
Like
we
how you
knew. So
said it into the mic.
right? I was waiting though a second so we can clip it out. But yeah, so it was me, a friend, and another friend. So it's three of us. We're in like I think like a 8-person tent or something. So it was a big tent, and the whole thing is like blowing over on us. That's how windy it was. So I think we laid in there, I don't know, like 4 or 6 hours or something.
Mhm.
And we can just hear the rain pounding down. It's like 30 degrees. We're all like cuddled in a pile, just like freezing. And we're like, we have to go out to the fire. And we knew that our friends had a fire going on out there. We were just too like nervous to get out and go through the rain. There's like just a tiny bit of rain we had to go through until we got to the fire, which had like a tarp over it. So
Over
once you
it,
get
yeah.
under the fire, you're good to go. Until the tarp caught on fire, but it wasn't that day. Um,
I was gonna say,
so,
that's questionable.
so like, is it real?
Yeah.
Is that what you mean? Yeah. So no, but what was questionable? So we amp ourselves out up. We go through the whole getting dressed part because we weren't dressed for the rain. We were like in
Yeah.
our PJs and stuff, so we had to like
Getting
get the right
dressed.
clothes on,
Oof.
which is always a thing.
Yeah.
We probably spent another hour on that, and then we finally amp ourselves out up. We go out. The wind is still crazy. The rain is crazy, pouring 30 degrees. Everyone has these heavy like winter coats on, which are hard to even come by here.
Yeah.
And we get out to the fire. There's this huge bonfire. Look across the fire, and the devil is there. So there's a guy there, devil horns, devil tail. And I look over to my friend and I go, I see the devil over there. And she was like, I see the devil too. And I'm like, so also I forgot to mention the part when we were in the tent, we were all convinced that we were traveling through time. I forgot to mention that part. Yeah, I forgot. So
So that makes it even better.
every time the tent would lay down on us, we thought we were traveling to a new time period.
That's incredible.
So I forgot that part. So we get out here, we all see the same devil, right?
You're
And
like,
I'm
"We gotta
like,
go back in time to when we're
well,
not with the devil."
no, because it was too cold. But I was like, I need to stay by the fire, but also like we must be. We all thought we were. I think I was like getting a little bit more normal at this point. I'm like, we all thought we were traveling through time, and like we couldn't have been like that. The things aren't adding up anymore, like they were back then.
Yeah.
And I'm like, and the devil's here. I see the devil, but also they see the devil, and we thought we were traveling through time. So like these things can't be adding up, right? The devil gave me an apple, and I ate it. Call me Eve. I was freaking hungry. Okay. And I ate the apple. It was delicious. So
You're like, "Thank you,
eventually,
devil."
yeah, I think he like played some music too. Eventually the devil goes away.
Thank God.
And we go to our tents. I finally sleep probably another 8 hours later. Wake up, walking around the next day around the gathering. Who do I run into? But the devil. He went by Jables. I know that's not his real name, so I think I can say that.
We could
It
say
is
that.
his real rainbow name, but that was so many years ago. I doubt he's still doing that. But um,
If you are, please stop.
he was actually my best friend I ever met out there. And I know that this was the first gathering because I met him at my first one.
Yeah.
Um, anyway, so yeah, we ran into him, had the best conversation. I was like, so he had these like he had an afro and then these like plastic devil horns, but you couldn't see like the thing connecting the devil horns because they kind of would sink
Oh,
into
yeah.
the afro. So you just see the devil horn, and then
So
he
it
had
looks real.
yes, and he had an actual devil tail, like, kind of clasped around his waist, so he
That's
was
hilarious.
really walking around dressed so the devil was there,
The
and
devil went
then
down to Florida.
yes, and then it was so funny, I saw him at the next year gathering, and then the 3rd one I went to, which was the same year, different place, and he was my best friend. He made me, like, this little walking stick. He called me Giggles. I'm sure you've heard some of my friends refer to
Yeah.
me as Giggles. He gave us those names, so our other friend was Bucket, and I've got that backwards. I'm Bucket. She's Giggles.
Yes.
So they call me Bucket and her Giggles. And we're Giggle Bucket together.
That's
Um,
adorable.
it was cute.
And
Yeah.
that was given to you by the devil.
By the devil. Yeah. And like a year later, 3 gatherings later. So we would always run into him, and he remembered us and we
That's
remembered him, and
insane.
love that guy. Yeah.
I can't
It was great.
imagine having dealt with the elements like that.
It was wild, dude.
Like, I was just painting and trying to find pants.
And like I wasn't signed whatever we took was not what we had signed up for. I think it was one of the research so there's like DOB, DOC. I don't know the details. I'm not a chemist. But it was not what we thought it was because it was a 24-hour thing. And
That's awful.
that ain't right.
I would have freaked out. That was the one thing that I think made me not so crazy in my situation was that it was only a few hours.
Mm-hmm.
I think it was like 4 to 6 hours.
This next one's pretty short. There's not a whole lot to it, but with my ex Devin, who has been mentioned on here. So we were like, you know what? We are pros at doing psilocybins now. Like, we have done this so much. We should do a quarter each.
No.
Mm-hmm. And not only are we going to do a quarter each, we should blend it up in a smoothie with like orange juice to really activate it and make it like, and honestly, it was fine. It wasn't like the worst experience or anything. It was just that I had taken it set in, and the next thing I knew, my brother was like, "Hey, are you okay?" And I'm like, "Yeah, no, I'm okay. Why?" And he's like, like Cirque du Soleil has played through twice now, and like you have not moved at all." Like
Cirque du Soleil is a good one. I feel like
literally
that might freak me out a little.
I don't think I was looking at it at all. I was just staring at the wall. The wall was so interesting. There were so
Yeah,
many things happening in the wall
I get
that
that.
I did not need anything else. I just sat there. And then when he said that, we eventually like got up and we went to like a swimming pool and stuff, and I was kind of coming back to myself a bit, and it was fun. But I think I was probably freaking people out in the hot tub because I'm just like staring at all of them. There's like a bunch of strangers there, and I'm just looking all of them in the eyes like, do they know? Do they know? Do they know?
That is incredible. I love that.
But yeah, that was an interesting time, I guess. I wouldn't really say fun. I feel like I just like it wasn't not fun, but it
It
wasn't
wasn't
like
not fun, but it
the
wasn't
most fun
fun.
either. Yeah. It was kind of boring, honestly.
You're like, I still don't like Cirque du Soleil.
Who knows? I don't know if I do.
Yeah.
I didn't see it.
Follow us on Instagram at Out of Touch PCast. Follow us on TikTok, Out of Touch Moments, or send us an email at outoftouchcast@gmail.com.
So I messed up typing that, and you caught it. Good. That was
I
very.
almost read
That was
it.
excellent.
I almost read it as you have it typed, which is gmail.outoftouchvast@gmail.com, which is
You
not
did
our
great.
email.
That is not it. Do not email them.
Once
No,
again,
you
it's
did great.
outoftouchcast@gmail.com. Boom.
Bye.